So they started talking about it. I was hearing mom on calls constantly. They were talking about they need someone, or she should see if I can agree. My younger sister was still in school. She was in her, I think, in her second year or so. So since I was the only one who is out of school, they can't talk to my younger brother about that because he also is in school. So since I was the only one who was out of school, every eye was on me, despite the fact that I just had a baby. So my mom talked to me. I said no. And then the idea was, my baby is still tender. I can't travel with my baby and walk. So she said, my mom is very young. So she said she will take care of the baby for me to travel. Mom said, this is more like an opportunity for you to do everything you want to do. You want to go to school, you can work there, go to school and do everything. So that was everyone's idea, except my dad, my younger sister, and I. No one talked to my younger brother about it because he was not around, he was in Auchi then. So I think we were standing alone. All my aunties were with my mom. So one of them invited me over that night. She sat me down, you're working really hard, you go to farm, because when I gave birth to my baby, I was now trying very hard to see that there's no lapses in the family. We all hands on deck, kind of. Let everyone work hard to make sure that everything is going on well. So you work really hard. So for me, this is like an opportunity. And then she had her son that just left to Ghana. I don't know what was going on with the guy as at then. So I didn't really ask if he was doing well. But for me, everyone believes he's doing well. So these opportunities too, for me, you have to. So when she explained everything, told me, you need to really try this out, because this is like an option that will help you to stop the suffering. You're going to farm, you're doing a lot of things. Just try this option. That night was the night I now decided, okay, since everyone is saying they will take care of my son, I'll go. They told us France, the three of us, 3 ladies, and then the guy, Italy. They are my cousins as well. So 2 ladies plus me, that's 3. Then the guy, because they said 3 ladies and a guy. Then the guy was to stop at Italy. It's not like the guy is joining us to France. So that was it. We left. Okay, there was no plan, no process. That's the truth. There was no process. They just told me, pack your bags, meet us in Benin. So I packed my bags. And then while packing your bags, make sure you have like 2-3 trousers. Make sure you have like a sweater, a thick one, because it's really cold over there in Europe. Make sure you have, they just told us a few things that they felt was necessary that we should have with us. So those were the things I put together. And then I got myself a backpack. I made sure I bought enough food for my son, someone I initially planned I was going to do exclusive breastfeeding for. I had to cut short at 4 months just to join them. So we got to Benin, spent about 2 days there preparing. No serious preparation. They were just telling us they are preparing the documents, everything will be, we'll get all of them in Abuja. When we get to Abuja, that the people over there, they are the ones who would give us the necessary requirements. So it was just like, we just came there for brief information and then we left. We got to Kano, we passed a night in Kano. But before Kano was when I started suspecting that something is not really going on right. We're trying to enter the north then. Some of these NDLEA, these drug enforcement agency, they saw us and the man was like, everyone in this bus calm down. What came down? I even felt maybe they wanted to search the guys. But funny enough, they took all bags. It was more like they took the young people's bags and then they kept it in one place. They would open it, not them. I don't tell you, it's not them. I'm like, I don't have anything in my bag. So I was getting really scared. But the guy with us was like, calm down, nothing is going on. They just want to check. And he already had an idea of what was going on. So when they checked, they asked every one of us to pay 2,000. So the other girl, I don't know her, we just met in the bus, was putting on this long dress. Is it Jalamia they call it? Something like that. That was what she was putting on. And then she was just saying a lot of things. Not be travel, they travel. Not be travel, they travel. And not commit any crime. Or now, you know, she was saying a lot of things. And she wasn't even using any polite language, like you're talking to officers. I beg, make nobody disturb her. Now travel, they travel, you know, Benin accent. So I was like, travel, they travel. Is it like we are going to the same direction or something? So I started suspecting as at then that I don't really know what these guys are talking about. But at the end of the day, the guy paid. He paid for all of us, the four of us, 8,000, and then we left. So they took 2,000 from each person, and then they allowed us to leave. We moved on till we got to Abuja. We passed the night there. There was no response. Nobody brought documents. They said the documents, the person said we should keep coming. When we get to Kano, we'll get it. So we got to Kano, actually. Someone came to pick us. The guy that came to pick us was driving with one hand. He doesn't have one hand. I was scared. Like, but before he started driving, as soon as he just said, quick, 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 enter. Every one of us jumped inside the car. The next thing, he started giving us this stuff. Is it hijab? Yeah, that jab for everyone. So I didn't know how to wear it. So everybody was like, okay. So it was funny, kind of. I was like, is this like what they do in the north? Is it compulsory? Even Christians will have to wear this. So then my boss was like, you ask a lot of questions. Just wear it. We had to. So we moved on till we got somewhere. It was kind of bushy environment. The guy stopped. They brought another car that took us to a particular enclosed area. And then that was where we were for a while. And then after a while, bike carried us from there to one place. I can't even tell. The people on the streets were doing, I don't know what was going on, but it was funny, but not funny. Because the bike guys were not even riding normal. They were riding and jumping. In fact, these things that we see in movies, that like James Bond something, it happens in Nigeria. Like I'm like, what's going on here? The guys were not careful. I had to hold the bike man so that I don't fall off. And someone was behind me, but I was still not comfortable to tell you how rough those guys were. So we got to another place. Then I saw a lot of Nigerians. I saw a lot of people who were traveling, actually. So they were saying different things, everyone with their own idea about where they are going to. And then I met this lady. She wasn't looking very okay, but she said the person who asked her to come is her sister, and that's because I think she's educated, but she has this health issues that the person said as soon as she gets to Italy, they will come pick her up and then she will get her treatments. So people had different reasons why they were traveling. The ones I met there, actually, everyone had different reasons, some for medical attention, some for money, some who were promised jobs. So I felt kind of, I felt unhappy at first. And then I was saying some things, and then one guy came to me and said, see, if you talk too much, most of these people that are around here, they will lock you up here and then everybody will go, you will not go because you're asking a lot of questions. So that calmed me kind of. I had to like stop asking questions. After a while, they came, took passports, as a passport photograph of everyone. And then it was that guy, that guy's idea of not talking that made me not to ask anything. Few hours later, they came with passports. The passport that got to me had my picture, not my name, and every other detail on it wasn't me. So when they gave me the passport, okay, I had to memorize everything on the passport. Like, you are compelled to, you don't have a choice because that's like your gateway to wherever you're supposed to go to. So we took these things. Few minutes later, the bike guys came back. They took all of us again. You know the bike the person you entered with before, just enter with the person and then we moved on. So we continued till we got to the border between, I don't know if it's Niger and Nigeria though. So the immigration officers there, They'll take your passport, ask you, what's your name? You tell them your name. How old are you? You tell them. They just check. They give it back to you. So it wasn't like they were doing any critical check. That question was the only thing they asked me. I don't know if they asked others any other thing, but that was what they asked me. And that was a pass for me because as soon as I said my name, and then I skipped a part where I had to teach one of my sisters because she is not learned. She got married when she was in primary 6, so she didn't go to school, and she has been in the village all her life. So I had to like teach her her name, the name on the distance. So I was helping her memorize her own name as well as memorizing mine. So it was something very silly that, of course, if I had a clue about irregular migration or human trafficking, I would have at least known that I was getting into something stupid, something that wouldn't be good for me. And then we left. The bike guys took us to a certain place where they had buses. They put a lot of us in one bus. I had to sit in the booth. So in that booth, it was raining that evening. It was, let's say, around 8 before the bus left. So it was raining. The raindrop was on my body. Despite the fact I didn't have enough clothes on, I was cold. I was shivering. And it's not like when you're shivering, somebody else would help you because everyone is actually trying to save themselves. So no one is actually looking out for you. So you have to do something to help yourself. So I had to like draw. There is something they used to cover the bus. I had to like draw that thing to cover myself. So we moved on. After a while, I think they heard police. The next thing, the drivers drove to a certain place, parked the car, zoomed off. We didn't know where they went to. After a while, other cars came. If they call your connection, you join another vehicle. If they call your connection, you join another vehicle. Just like that, they just shared us into different groups. We left. Spent about a day plus on the road till we got to Agadez. Now, when we got to Agadez, someone just told us that this is Agadez. Oh. I say, yeah, Agadez. I met some people, and then the first room where they took us to everywhere was filled with flies. I couldn't take it, so I was like, oh God, what is this? Those girls there, they started laughing. They were laughing. I was like, how are you guys comfortable in this kind of environment? They said, you never see anything, you know. They stood up, left the room, came back, they were still laughing. I was like, no. So my sisters told me that you should just try and keep quiet and just observe rather than say your feelings. It's as if you're just showing them who you are. I just kept quiet. I was not enduring the whole thing. They fly everywhere. I sat in a corner. I was just reflecting over the journey from Nigeria to that point. A few days, about 4 days later. So that should be like, okay, that's like 4 to 5 days now to get to that place, because it was from Benin to Kano itself was a day till the next morning. So from that Kano to that Agadez in Niger was about, okay, let's just say 3 days. Okay, so from that point to that night, they didn't actually move us. We're still there till about 4 days. And then on the 4th day, they came, they told us, okay, to get ready. Everybody get ready, you'll be leaving this night. People were excited. Me, I wasn't really excited because I didn't really understand we are leaving. Like, we are leaving to where? So my bros was like, they said we are going to buy gallon. Buy gallon? We don't have money. We didn't even, they gave us just 10,000 naira when we were leaving each. So we don't have money. How much is the gallon? He said they are selling in Sefa. It's not naira, so because we are not in Nigeria. So I said, okay, find out how much it is. At the end of the day, what we had left with us was unable to buy us the gallon because we were buying small ones, big ones, small ones for each person. So at the end of the day, we sold the only phone that was with us. And the phone was not in our possession. It wasn't in my possession or in the girl's possession. It was only the guy that was authorized to use the phone to update them. So it was more like they were working with the guy. These people carrying us were working with the guy. I've never met the guy before. He's not really my cousin. He's married to one of our cousins, so I don't even know him. Now, it's more like they've already had this whole thing planned out before calling on us to come and join the guy. So the guy said he's going to sell the phone. When we get to Libya, he will get another phone. Me, I wasn't worried initially. Just get us water, since they said everybody would need water. We didn't bother to ask, what do we need the water for? Since they said buy, just buy. He bought the gallon, they filled it with water, so we had to carry it to the place where they were loading that night. So in the night, they started loading. I noticed each Hilux was carrying about 29 people. For my Hilux, they had about 29 people. So now the guys, the ladies will sit in, the guys will sit around the Hilux. So they have this wood that the guys will use to sit. And then they were arranging it like that till it got to our own turn. Now for the girls, you sit, you open your legs, someone else sits, just like that. That was the arrangement. Then for me, I had to sit around the, what's it called, where you can rest your back. But I was sitting on a keg of fuel. That's another story. I was sitting on a keg of fuel. So for me, I felt that was a comfortable place, right? I put my bag on the keg of fuel, and then I sat on it. So I was feeling like that's more comfortable. I was even saying the other people sitting inside the Hilux will be feeling hot and they will be having a lot of challenges. So I don't want to stay there. I prefer where I was. Now, within one day from that place, because all the Hilux moved at the same time, like all the vehicles moved at once, they started going. It was as if the more we went in, if they drive from one, would I even say up to a pole, the vehicle will sink. All the guys will come down. The lighter ladies will stay inside. If you're heavy, you come down. The guys will have to remove the sand. The Hilux will move to the front. We'll all jump in again. The Hilux will move. Get just one pole again. This thing continued for the whole day. It was tiring. And to worsen it, they were beating the guys. Like, when it's time to pack this sand, if they don't see your hand doing it, the drivers have this whip, this pipe that you use to to put fuel in their vehicle was what they were using to whip the guys. Like, at some point I started crying because there was this guy that looked really soft. I don't think he's from Edo State. I can't remember where he's from. But at some point he broke down, like, he was like, which kind of suffer be this? Which kind of suffer be this? Now travel, they travel, no key person, you know. They were beating them in such a way that ordinarily it was heartbreaking. That after that whole day, in the night, they packed us somewhere. And then I met someone from my place, from another Hilux. The guy started telling me stories, we were just gisting. And then it was more like few hours, let's say it was getting to like midnight. This kind of breeze just started blowing towards us and then bringing sand. It was then it dawned on me that most of the sand heaping was actually done by that breeze. It was like rain. So very scary. I just told the guy, is this thing going to bury us? He smiled and said, if you bury us now, it's just like we are trying to make it in life and then we did not survive. I was like, God, don't allow me to die here. That was the first fear. So the guy said, just lie down and use something to cover yourself. If you cover yourself, probably you'll sleep off. Because I didn't see sleep. Most people were already sleeping, but I could not imagine myself sleeping in that kind of environment. I didn't know there was more waiting for us ahead. So after that night, the next morning, the drivers came. I took my brush. I want to brush my teeth. They said, wait, I want to brush. One guy said, with which water? This water that we are reserving, we want to drink. I said, I'm not going to brush. The guy said, even buy brush. They were laughing, you know. Some kind of weird behavior from some of the guys and the ladies. They were laughing. I better go reserve the water. I said, hey, God, so I'm not going to brush my mouth. I can't even wash my face. The guy said, you don't even brush, you wash face, you know. They were just saying a lot of things. And then the driver didn't even wait for anyone to brush, so we had to jump in. That was the first heartbreak for me. Like, okay, now I'm going to just be smelling and dirty till we get to our destination, and who knows how long this journey is. Down, let's say 3 to 4 days after, we were still running around the circle. It was more like we were not even leaving the environment because everywhere looked alike. So I just told my sister, even if we are going to the land of the dead, 4 days is enough for us to have gotten to where we are going. Are you sure there is no problem? Sister said, nothing, let's just endure. And then after a while, she will ask me, that thing you said is true. Even if it's land of the dead, by now we should have gotten somewhere that is close to the land of the dead that we are going to. You know? And the funniest thing is, all these things was going on under a scorchy sun. Like, the sun was not friendly, very hot. There are no trees around. Everything is just blank, like you're just seeing only the soil. That sand is the only thing you're seeing. So you're not seeing anything that is going to give you hope. And then to worsen it all, you're seeing bones. If they park and say rest, the only thing you're going to see is probably bones from animals and human beings that have died. Some people will just, maybe like people who like playing, will just put their hand like as if they are packing sand, and then the next thing is bone. They will just scream, hey, see bone, oh. Everybody will run, you know. It was just, now I'm laughing, but then it was very traumatizing, like you see weird things only. So after that, we noticed that actually we were running in a circle. So the driver explained to someone that there were security persons around, policemen, that's the Niger police. So we are not supposed to pass them except they are not there. So we'll have to wait until those policemen are out. And then I think after a while, those policemen started getting really close. So the drivers left us. They fled for their lives. And then where they parked us was very hot. So we sat there, we were waiting for them to come back. Those security or policemen didn't even come where we were. But then we lost someone while struggling for water. There was no water. The drivers had already left. So I think the man's heart failed. He's not a young boy. He should be like around 50 something. So I think his heart failed or something. I don't even know what to say happened to him, but he was just lying down. Nobody had a clue that the man was already dead. So when the drivers eventually came back, they found out the guy was dead. They just did their Arab or Muslim ritual. Just did something, put their clothes, then used sand to cover the man, and that was all. We left, you know. We all cried while leaving. People were singing sorrowful songs. And then after a while, the police caught up with us. But that part too was traumatizing for me because the drivers left again as usual. They started running. This time they were running and asking us to jump out of the hills. They were running with their cars. It's not like they are running, they parked somewhere and left. No, this time they were running with their cars and they were asking us to jump off the car. It was difficult for me to jump. I'm not, I don't know, I'm slim, but I wouldn't say I'm athletic. So a lot of people were jumping out. It was hard for me. So, but at some point I jumped. I didn't sustain any injury as at then. But then when I was running, because of the nature of the place, there are thorns everywhere. The thorns kept piercing my leg and everything. No sandals. We already lost our bags in the car. I was just running alongside people. So the kind of race was, people are running towards this direction. As they are running back. People are running towards this, you join these ones. You know, everybody is trying to escape, but the security persons had already surrounded everywhere, and then with armored cars, I wouldn't have an idea if they were asked to shoot anyone, but they were shooting kind of to threaten us to stay in one place, but people were still running, so the shooting continued, didn't stop. So while they were shooting, at some point, they are not shooting like randomly, like maybe releasing bullets often, but just once, just like that. So a lot of people were running towards a direction. I joined them. Anywhere they are running towards, I joined them, just like that. But then, at some point, my sisters already left me. I don't even know where they ran to. The guy that was supposed to be taking care of us also left. So I just stood somewhere, and then I said, if these people are going to kill me, let them just kill me. I was crying, like, God. I was crying seriously. I was saying, just kill me. If I just remember that moment, I'm like, God, if I could survive that, there is nothing that God can't save anyone from. I was crying. I was saying, just shoot me, just kill me, let me just die. What kind of suffering is this? I was crying, and then the guy stopped. And then he was like giving me signal to come closer, come closer. So when I got closer to them, the man said, enter this place. I entered. He gave me water. That was the first thing he did. So it was like, don't worry, no problem. So when he said that, don't worry, no problem, I just felt like, okay, then why is it that they are now chasing us? Is it like they want to save us? Is it like they want to help or anything? So at some point, they brought us together. They were able to they were able to gather as many people as possible, to the extent that we filled this big truck was filled with people. And then some hillocks too had to join in taking us to the police station. They brought books, we started writing our names. Everyone, write your name, write your country, write your name, write your country. Everyone, people were just writing their names and country. We did the same. So they brought us together. And then they told us, okay, they are going to take us somewhere. And then that's where we will sleep for the night. And then they will register us and return us to our country. But before then, a white man came to speak to us. So the man asked us where we are traveling to and why are we traveling. So many people were saying, I was just looking. So many people were saying, there's hunger in my country, they are killing us in my country, there's suffering in my country, there is this in my country. You know, a lot of people were saying their reasons for traveling. He wasn't asking personally, he was just asking the entire people who were there. And then they were filming it. So majority of us had to cover our face so that we don't get captured, but some people were really vocal, like saying so many things before the man addressed us and told us that he's been to Nigeria severally. And then he's been to most of the African countries too, that we have food. A lot of us have good shelter, particularly Nigerians. He kept hammering, particularly Nigerians, there is good food in your country. I've tasted this, I've tasted that. You know, he mentioned most of the meals, and then he told us that there is no cost for this kind of traveling. Do you even know where you're going to? Do you know if it's worth where you're going to and all of that? Then they took us somewhere. They put us together in a particular environment. And then a few days later, they came to tell us that we'll be leaving back to our country. So there was rumor everywhere. People were saying, I pity people that will go back to Nigeria. I just pity people that will go back to Nigeria. The kind of suffering they will go and suffer. Police is already waiting for them. My brother called me, said that there is news that they are bringing back people, that police is waiting for them. They will arrest them because they traveled without documents. So we were all scared. And then we decided to run away, majority of us. So at night, while the security guards were sleeping, majority of us started jumping out of the fence, and then somebody brought an idea to open the gate, you know, some kind of dubious act, which is not actually good, which wasn't good for us. But because of the kind of rumor, because of the kind of things we heard, we joined, everybody left. You know, we're still hiding. It's not like you're leaving and you're just coming out to say, I'm going. No, you're hiding from place to place, hiding until we got to a particular house. When we left, we got to a particular house. There were 6 of us in a group now, no longer I and those my 3 people. they were with me. Those two sisters, that guy, the four of us were complete as at then. And then two other guys joined us. So the person that owned the house agreed to keep us in her house for that night. And then I think her husband came back and asked who where. She told the husband brought a driver. So none of us had an idea that we were sold. So the man sold us to the driver. None of us had an idea. We just thought the man helped us. You know, that was the idea in my head, like, God bless this man. Oh, he finally helped us out of this place. So the driver took us, proceeded to somewhere they called Nitel. That was what they told us, that place is Nitel. So they hid us in their family house at first. Then in their family house, we met their one of the sisters that had already gone to Italy before. The lady told us she can't speak English, so she had to use diagram to express herself. She gave a sign of water and then a sheep on the water, and then she told us how she was working there. She was washing clothes, that's probably doing dry cleaning or something like that. I don't know what she was doing over there, but me, I just assumed and then I told my sisters, that means maybe she did house help work over there. So we had fun with them because they were nice people. I didn't figure out if they were among the people who bought us, but they were nice to us. They gave us food. That was the first place where I had to brush my teeth, have my bath, you know. It was a good treatment for us. So throughout the 4 days we were in their house, they treated us nicely. And then after a while, the driver came back. And then the driver told us that in a few days he will come and take us. This thing was already summing up to like 3 weeks already within the desert environment. A few days later, he came again and then he said, oh yeah, get ready. You'll be leaving this night. After a few hours, he came back in the night. And then they told us, everyone to lie down inside the hillocks, and then they sealed it. So they took us from there, took us to another garage. Then that garage, they had a lot of drivers now. It wasn't just him. So I think he was looking around for passengers, but didn't succeed that day. So he told us to stay in a particular room, don't come out till he comes back. 4 days later, he came back with food. He didn't take us out of there. After like 2 days, he came back again, came back with food. So I told my brothers that the food is not as if it's enticing. This guy has caged us here. Probably something will go wrong. Let's leave this place. So the man and then the other guy that was with us said, okay, let's leave. Okay, so if we leave now, where will we go to? I say, me, if I leave like this, I'll be walking down. I would want to see a policeman. They should take me back to Nigeria. What kind of suffering is this one? This place that they locked us for like 4 days. Not as if the house is very enclosed. That same breeze that was even blowing in the other place was still blowing and bringing sand. So that I'm not comfortable here. They said, okay, let's leave. We left. We met some drivers. Those ones, come. They served food, eat. Don't worry, we will take you. Libya, they are not even calling it Libya. They will tell you Libya. I'm like, I'm not going to Libya, me, Nigeria. No, Libya, like their own is, don't worry, we will help you anywhere you want to go to. That particular place you want to go to, we will help you get there, but you can't go back. So I told my brother that these guys are actually saying that they want to help us go back to go to Libya, but they can't help us go to Nigeria. My brother was like, we intended to go back to Nigeria before. We're going forward though, it's not backward. You know, after everything, we spent a few hours with those guys, no headway out. I told them they are not even ready to take us to Libya. Carried my bag. And it was more like that stubbornness was actually what saved us, because I don't even know what was their plan. But I just told my brothers, I'm not staying here 1 minute again. I'm leaving. So because I was stubborn, they said, hey, if we leave you now, who knows what will happen to you? Oh yeah, let all of us keep going. They joined me. The drivers were offended. They were like, come back. We didn't answer. We left. Until we met these policemen. So one of the policemen just called us. And then my bro said, we are going to Libya. The man said, You don't have, like he was explaining to them, my brothers, you people don't have problem. I will carry you to where your brothers are, plenty. And then I figured out, okay, plenty Nigerians. I told my brother, if there is a place where a lot of people are, it's better than this place where it's just the 6 of us. So they took us from there to where a lot of Nigerians are. I met a lot of people. I felt a bit comfortable. There was no much space for the 6 of us, but we just had to like manage in that place where they kept us. And then we spent some days again there. So we were waiting for the drivers to come. They didn't come. And then after a few days, the drivers came. So they started calling, like they shared us into groups. This driver take this one, this driver take this one, this driver take this one. So then we're already approaching Libya. So they took us, it wasn't now up to 2 days, we got to Libya. So when we got to Libya, I think it was the border, the driver came down, then asked us to, he then asked us to pay a certain amount of money. He asked everyone to bring a certain amount of money, so that my brother helped us to pay ours, and then they took us from there. After paying that money, they took us from there, they just proceeded into Libya. We got to Saba. The driver called someone. That particular person they called came around, and the person told us that he's going to take this group somewhere. So they took that particular group. They were just taking people like in groups, in different groups. And then from that point, they took us to a particular man. The man is Igbo. So when we got to his house, the man looked at all of us, was like, the guys, this is your room. The girls, this is your room. So in that room where he said is for the girls, I saw a lot of ladies, even people that were younger than me were in that same room. So I was like, how did you guys get here? What is going on, you know? We started talking, a lot of Benin girls, they were just saying, welcome with this one, Jadid, welcome with this one. You know, Jadid means new person. You know, they were just saying a lot of things. And then at the end of the day, I got bonded to a particular lady that really shared her experience. Happened to be that she has not been able to pay her money. So when I asked her, she said 300,000. So we started getting information from the people within that if you're unable to pay your money, you stay there. So towards the evening of that same day, like around 5 p.m., the man came to assemble all the new passengers. All the new passengers come outside, we came out. He took us to a particular hall, asked all of us to sit on the floor. We sat down. He said, we are welcome. We answered. Me, I was even feeling comfortable, believing that this person is from my place, he's a Nigerian, so he should be nice, you know. So when he was about to tell us what Libya was, the first thing was a gunshot. In fact, for like few seconds, I couldn't recover from the shock. I had to hide behind our bros, like the whole of us just held him. The man said, everybody, oh yeah, this way. Like he had to like scatter us so that we don't get to communicate with each other. He had big boys. In fact, those big boys, if they handle one person, I'm sure the person will not survive it. So I was shaking. And then the man said, he just wants to let us know that we are in Libya now. And that now that you are here, he's giving us just a few hours to give him his money. He paid for us, he bought us. He was saying it like, you know, when someone is actually practically trying to pass a message across to you with everything he's got inside, the kind of anger, like I didn't offend this man before. But the way he was saying it was like, I'm just telling you that you have to pay this money within the space of so and so hours. If you don't pay it for the girls, you work and give me my money. For the boys, you die here. So the thing sounded somehow. We just had to like beg him, just allow us to discuss. We are from the same family. He said, okay, After a while, that my bros said, please give us your phone. You are begging in tears. If you're even asking for the phone, it's not up to like, they are not giving you to call. They are giving you to just say, I'm in Libya, please call me back. You can't use their airtime to inform whoever you are informing. Sorry. So at the end of the day, we were able to reach out to the people that invited us to France. Those ones said they would send someone to come and pick us in a few hours. We should be patient. We were there, we were waiting. After a while, I came to call down my bros. Your people, they disturb me with call. Your people, they disturb. If they disturb me again with call, now I go beat you, you know. We're hearing it from our own side, and I was like, is that not bros this person is talking to like this? You know, the fear was more. We pleaded, okay, can we talk to bros? So you have to plead for to see a guy in that room. In fact, you're not even allowed to see a guy. They don't give you room to see any guy. So we're able to like talk to bros. How far did they call? He now asked for phone again to reach out to them. So he was able to get to them again, and then they sent someone across. So I think the person who was supposed to bring the money was now pricing lower than the 300. I think the person was now saying 250. That was where the anger came from. At the end of the day, the man came with the money. He paid 1 million for the 4 of us, and then took us from that place to his house. From his house, we moved. It's still within the, yes, still in Libya. So from that place to the sea coast, and the sea coast was not very easy for me as well. That from his house to the sea coast was also very traumatizing. And then at some point, I even had an experience where I was sleeping in a room. In that particular room was mixed with both guys and ladies. So there was this Sudanese that they brought into the room to join us, because initially it was with Ghanaians. So the Sudanese took a part of the room, we took a part of the room. And so in the night I was sleeping, I covered myself because I have this habit of using wrapper to cover myself from foot to head. And then there was this guy that I don't know, among the Sudanese, he crawled to where I was, tapped me. I woke up, I was like, what? The guy put his hand in his pocket, brought out 5 dinar. 5 dinar in their money is 500 naira, Nigerian naira, and was begging me like, I could not wrap my head around it. So I just screamed, and then the Ghana guy woke up first and was like, what is happening? You know, they started arguing amongst themselves, and at the end of the day, those Sudanese, they apologized on behalf of their brother, that they were sorry about what happened. Probably he just thought something different in his mind before bringing it, that they are sorry. So the whole thing was migrants abusing migrants, security agencies abusing migrants. The experience was just too hard for me. I had a case where someone was trying to communicate something to me that I should sit down in the vehicle, those long trucks. I didn't understand him. I don't know that GAMS means sit down. I'm just new in the environment. But this man had an idea in his head that any language he speaks or whatever he says, I should understand. So the next thing was, I don't know what he used in hitting me on my head. I was bleeding, and then somebody was saying, sit down, sit down. That's what he's saying, sit down. So I sat down, and then I noticed I was bleeding. And the lady was like, sorry, if I knew you were the one he was talking to, I would have told you to sit down. If you are sat down, the guy will not hit you. And then in most cases, for them to say sit down, they will have to shoot, you know, for you to sit down. At least the communication differences should have been understood by them, but the case was different. For them, when they communicate, you don't understand, they become violent. So it was really hard till we got to the sea coast. Spent some time around the sea coast trying to cross, had people die. Someone died while giving birth. So had cases of people dying. A particular lady died trying to give birth because there were no professionals around, and then people claimed that in their countries they were professionals, they could help her give birth, they could help her deliver, you know. It was a sad experience. At the end of the day, she died, the baby died, and I just told myself, this one is just a wasted time, like wasted effort. You're trying to get out of trouble, you get into more trouble. And even family doesn't know where you are because you can't even call them. I don't have access to any communication device. I can't reach anyone except maybe I'll have to pay someone to borrow his phone or have to, you know, the situation was even very difficult because a lot of people will not even give you their phones to make call. They wouldn't even want you to buy the airtime to make the call. So it was a very difficult one until finally the security agencies came. They arrested every one of us around that sea coast. They arrested everyone. In fact, people tried to escape. Some tried to jump into the water. You know, people tried to run, but wherever you are, they will find you and they will bring you back to the spot. And then they took us to a detention center, Garian. After a few days, they also took us from there to Tripoli, Terigmata Detention Center. So it was in Terigmata that the International Organization for Migration came visiting, and then some UN agencies, once they come around, they check on us. Whenever they are coming, these Libyan agents, policemen, they will ask us, they will give us so many things. You wouldn't even know if it is the UN guys that brought it, but when they are gone, they will lock us up back again. When they come around, we'll do sports, they will bring us out. It's as if we're enjoying our lives. When those guys are gone, we'll go back to the prison, they lock us up again and all of that. So IOM came, we all filled forms, those who want to go back home, because a lot of people said they are not going. Those ones that didn't go did what they call banamish. You pay, someone pays for you, like someone will come around, pay. Yes, kind of bail them, pay the money, take you out of the prison, and then you work for the person. So I almost tried that, but a particular lady, she's from Delta, so she speaks my language. And then she told me that if I pay this money, in fact, she used our language to tell me, Idama, Yangoso. That is, if you try this, you just die. And then if I remember that she told me that, and if anyone comes to me to say, I want to help you to live here, I would just tell them I'm not interested. I want to go back to Nigeria.
I left Nigeria back as far as 2012, and it was a very funny story. As you can see from my social media pages, my best food is amala. So I worked after work. I'm a medical doctor, full-time doctor. After work, I went to this famous place in Oshogbo where they have amala, just next to my hospital. So while I was there, I sat down with the food, and then I saw this newspaper advert saying doctors needed urgently in Saudi Arabia. So I abandoned my plate of amala. The rewards were just amazing, and I couldn't believe my eyes. You know, free accommodation, free flights. I was earning, you know, I was going to earn like times 20, you know, of what I earned at the time, in dollars as well. So I packed my bags, went home, packed my bags off to Lagos. I was at the Ikeja for the interview.
Like immediately?
Immediately, I left the Amala, went home, packed my bags, and off I went to Lagos. The next day I went for the interview, did the interview. There were loads and loads of people there. Did the interview and got picked, and I was on my way to Saudi Arabia. So from Nigeria, I worked in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, and then I walked around the Middle East, Dubai, Oman, Bahrain, and from there, while I was working, I was writing my exams to work in the UK and the Republic of Ireland. So from there, I got a lecturing position in the UK, and then I was able to pass my exams within that time. So I got my licenses to be able to practice in Europe. So at the moment, I can practice in Europe, I can practice in New Zealand, I can practice in the Middle East, and of course in Nigeria as well. So my journey hasn't been straightforward. My journey has been from Nigeria, scattered around the Middle East and then Europe. The first culture shock I faced was I landed on a Thursday and obviously Friday, but it didn't click that Friday was a day to be respected in the Middle East, in the Muslim society. So I got up, was looking for food. I got out of my house, and after walking for like 5 minutes, it still didn't click that I was the only one in the environment, okay? So after walking about, say, 500 meters, I suddenly saw a car just drove in front of me and blocked me, and then I saw all these guys in beards just came, and of course I didn't. So the guy just came and said, "What are you doing out here? It's Friday. You're supposed to be praying." I'm like, I paused, and then he says, "Okay, are you a Muslim or a Christian?" "Yeah." "Are you a Muslim or a Christian?" I swear I didn't know whether to say Muslim or Christian because I didn't know what was going to happen. If you say Christian and they start flogging you, if you say Muslim, why are you not in the mosque? So I paused, and the guy said, "Bring out your Ikama." I showed him my Ikama, which is like a resident permit. That shows your religion, so it shows it shows I'm a Christian. And then he said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "I just got into Saudi yesterday. I don't know what's going on." Then he said, "Well, today's Friday, Juma. You have to be praying. If you're not praying, you respect it. Stay in your house between this period." So I said, "Okay." He said, "Everywhere is closed. You can't even get food." So I said, "I'm sorry. I will walk back right now." And then another one that was amazing, even though I was a doctor, I couldn't speak to female patients. So if a man comes in with a woman and the woman is the one with the problem, you cannot talk face to face to her. You cannot ask her. You have to ask the husband, say, "Okay, why have you brought this woman here?" And then the husband would. So my first experience, I spoke to this woman who had a breast lump, and I was talking. The husband was just looking at me. So when I finished, he was answering me. And when I finished, the guy just lost it. "How can you be talking to my wife?" I was like, I'm not toasting your wife, guy. You know, calm down. So the medical director had to give me an education, you know, yeah. So we were able to just placate the guy at that time. So that was one culture shock for me as well. I've traveled a lot of countries. I've seen 50 different countries now. I would say that in Europe, okay, so some very interesting ones. When I got to Europe, I was in my house just sitting on my own, and friends said, "Come on, there's this birthday party happening. Let's go and eat." Birthday party? "Oh yeah, let's go now. Where's the venue?" So I went to the venue. We ate, we ordered, ate everything, finished. Birthday party. At the end of the day, the celebrant came and said, "This is the bill." And in my head, I'm thinking, bill for what? I should pay that you invite. I was in my house. I was in my house. You invited me. I came to eat. Now I have to pay the bill. So that was one. The second one was, of course, driving. In Nigeria, you're on the left side, but in the UK, you're on the right side. So that was another culture shock for me in Europe. Okay. It's important to state that I always talk about the way to live legally within the legal bounds without violating any international laws, which is opposed to what people do, most people do. And if you notice very well, people live, you know, it's upward movement. You're living from poorer countries to rich countries. And interestingly, it's not as if the people who leave their countries illegally, generally speaking now, are not the poorest of the poorest when you put the standard of their country into context. They're not the poorest of the poorest. But because they're looking for better opportunities, they're looking for a place where they will get, you know, larger finances, a better standard of living, education, good access to health. That's why they're leaving. So they don't care how they do it, so long as the promises you know, they've been given good promises, then they just take that pathway. I always use my social media handles on Instagram, on YouTube, Waka Waka Doctor, to tell people of the legal ways. And the reason why people most times don't want to follow this pathway is because I would say it's inherent laziness, because you have to do the work. You know, this illegal pathway, they're possibly going to say, pay this amount of money, we will just move you across the border. But they don't consider the consequences that come with it. This way that I preach involves a lot of, you know, work. You have to do a lot of work. So it means that you have to do research, you have to make applications, you have to pay little amount of fees, and then get the end result. So if you're not open to working, I give tips, I point you towards the right direction, but if you're not open to working, then it becomes a difficult task for you. So the easiest way is to keep educating ourselves. We keep educating these people and passing the information across. And I mean, this is one thing I'm doing now, and it's one thing I've been doing for the last 18 months, using Instagram, Twitter, YouTube to pass the information across. If someone comes to you to say, okay, I'm going to take you to Europe, you're a cake baker, I'm going to get you scholarship, there are documents you want to see. There are documents you want to see. You have your original passport. Have you submitted a statement of motivation or a letter of intent? Do you have a visa? Have you submitted documents to help you get an original visa? Do you have a work permit? Have you seen an original work permit? Have you called your employers over there to confirm that I have a real job and I'm coming to resume? So that again brings me to my first point, that people are mentally lazy. They don't want to do the work. Because when someone gives you documents and say, oh, this is your document, we're going abroad, you should say, give it to me. Let me confirm if it's real. Let me confirm if it's original. If it's a work permit, I'm going to call my employers to see if this job is real. If it's a school admission, I'm going to ring up the school to find out if it's real. I told you behind the cameras, I said, people have this mentality that, you know, things work outside just the way it works in this country. It's wrong. If you pick up the phone and call an admissions office, they will talk to you. If you pick up the phone and call an employer, they will talk to you. You're just looking for information. And if the information is real, they definitely get it. So, like I said, the first way to help with spread of information, help curb this is spread of information, educating people. And that's what I've been doing for the last 18 months using my social media platforms. Nothing good comes extremely easy, okay? You have to be patient. I tweet sometimes, I say that, I say, when you travel abroad, your life changes. You know, your skin becomes fresh, your smile is different, okay? There's peace of mind, you know, things come to you easily. You can actually actualize your dreams. You can live out your dreams right in front of you because there's a system that supports that. So my advice is, when you go abroad, be patient, keep working hard, don't stop, don't relax. You know, have a vision, write it down, allow your eyes see that vision, you know, consume it, and continue to work towards it. It's simply as basic as that. That would be my advice. Save, and always call home, because one of the downsides to going abroad is that it can be boring sometimes. And that's why you should call friends. Don't cut people off. Call friends. You know, always call home if you miss home. Like, I'm home now because I missed Amala. I missed all those things, so I came home. So yeah, that's my advice. Keep working. Keep your head down. Of course, keep your connections back home so that you can always come back to them. This is a huge subject. It's a huge subject, and it's not something I can share in 1-2 minutes. So I'm going to say that the first thing you want to do is open an Instagram account if you don't have an Instagram account, and look for me, Waka Waka Doctor, because I give tips. Now, there are job boards across Europe, across Asia. You cannot streamline your choices and say that, oh, I just want to be in Canada. I just want to go to the US. I just want to go to the UK. There are 195 different countries in the world. So you have to say that I'm open to any one of them. And most of these countries have job boards, okay? websites, different websites where you can submit your applications. You go through rigorous interviews, you submit documents. If you then succeed, they are able to process your work permits and employ you. Now, some people will say, oh, I've tried the UK, it didn't work out, so they give up. But there are different countries in the world. There's Turkey, there's Lithuania, there's Kazakhstan. I know teachers that I've spoken to, in fact, 6, 7 of them in the last 4, 5 months who have left Nigeria to Kazakhstan, right? They teach English. They earn at least $1,800 in Kazakhstan, which is much more than what they will earn in Nigeria. So there are 195 countries. I post them, I mean, almost every day on my Instagram channel. So you can watch and see some of these job boards and apply for jobs. Some basic truths and facts is not every doctor can leave the country. So even if doctors are leaving, more doctors would graduate and you still have doctors around. But doctors are leaving in their large numbers every day. So the future of medicine in Nigeria is very bleak, because you have the extremely intelligent doctors leaving, going abroad, because the system abroad is extremely encouraging. The system abroad gives you opportunities to become greater than what you can ever think or imagine. People keep writing their exams, people keep going for interviews because the system allows it. So the advice straight up I'll give to the Nigerian government is, first and foremost, create a platform that encourages us as doctors. Facilities, give us things we can. It's not as if, things we only see in the books, things we can see and work with. Pay us money. I worked in Osun State. My salary in 2011 was 90,000 naira. I was doing 2 jobs and I couldn't earn 120,000 naira, 2 jobs. When I went to Saudi Arabia, salary was $5,000. Look at the discrepancy, it's too huge. And they were owing us 6 months. You owe someone 6 months. I was seeing 200 patients in a day. 200 patients. How, I mean, the first 10 patients I see would get the best out of me. The other ones, the truth, it's just the truth. The other ones would be people, that's it. It doesn't work that way. Create a good culture, a good environment for doctors to work. Pay them properly. Give them, standard remuneration that they can compare with their friends and colleagues abroad and say, okay, yes, we it's commensurate to the work we do. Nigerian government really has to improve. The future of Nigerian doctors, sadly enough, is abroad, and countries are asking for them. Like the PLAB exam is an incredibly easy exam to just write and pass. So people are writing it and moving. So if Nigeria cannot improve these parts, payments, facilities, then it's a poor tale. I would end on this note to say that this is a popular theme that I've always passed across, to say that travel is not necessary of money, but of courage. And the reason is because it takes courage to decide to leave a place you've been for many years and go to a place that's brand new. You're going to be leaving your friends, you're going to be leaving your family, you're going to be leaving your job, you're going to be in search of ways to make money, search of better career. So it's often very difficult. The first step is the most difficult one, the most daunting one, saying, I want to move. It's very difficult. But I would always encourage you to take that step. When you start, you will get to the end. Don't wait, start now. It's another year, it's 2022. My aim is to get at least 2,000 people abroad. So if we can do that, we've succeeded. Okay? There are better opportunities out there. If you're attaining this level right now in Nigeria, if you go abroad, you'll be times 20. That's it. So start now, make the move. If you're in town, if you catch me in any of the cities abroad, you can holler at me and I'll be there. Traveling abroad, migrating abroad is not age specific. Age is not a limitation. Even if you're in your 50s, you're in late 50s, you can still go abroad. I always talk about academics because academics seems to be the easiest path. But even if it's true career, like I've said earlier, you can go search for these job boards that will give you employment. Again, experience counts. I'll give you an example. Places like Australia are in need of people with huge experiences in different fields. Whether you're a cameraman, you're a technician, you're a chef, if you have 5-10 years, electrician, 5-10 years of experience, and you apply for jobs in Australia, they'll take you. Estonia, Lithuania, these are places that are in need of vocational, you can do vocational studies. If you're not a skilled worker, so to say, these are places that are in need of you. So age is not a factor. So even if you're 50 and you have 15 years of experience to back this, they're looking for you.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa. Good morning, I am Messi Bokpo. This is a news brief. The former Lagos State Governor and national leader of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has revealed that over the last 25 years, he had to forgo his personal interest in selecting those who were in power across Nigeria. The presidential hopeful, who shared his political prowess while addressing members of the party at the presidential lodge in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, noted that the political strength should be considered by delegates in their choice during the forthcoming APC primary elections. In his remark, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun had earlier declared his support for Osinbajo's candidature, refused to endorse Tinubu, hence told Tinubu that delegates from the state would do the right thing at the convention.
Tí ò bá sí àwa èmi tí ń dúró wájú yìí tí ń lérí ogun tí ní òkè Buhari nìṣó ká máa bá lọ. Kò lè jí president. Ó ṣe kìíní olùlẹ̀. Ó ṣe kejì olùlẹ̀. Ó ṣe kẹta olùlẹ̀. Ó tiẹ̀ sunkún lórí tẹlifíṣàn. Pé láyé òun ò tún rán mọ́. Mo dẹ̀ lọ bá ń Kaduna wá rán ọ̀rọ̀ ẹkún kọ́ lélẹ̀. Àdúró tiẹ̀. Wàá dẹ̀ wọlé. Nǹkan kan ní pé o ò ní fọ̀rọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá ṣeré. Ó dẹ̀ gbà. Àtijọ́ tó rẹ̀ ti débẹ̀, mi ò gba mínísítà, mi ò gba contract, mi ì tọrọ ọbẹ̀, mi ì tọrọ gàrí, mi ì tọrọ fúra lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀, mi ì dẹ̀ ìyàwó ń bẹ̀. Mo wá ní lọ́tẹ̀ yìí o, Yorùbá ló kàn. Tá a bá dẹ̀ sa Yorùbá náà, èmi ló kàn. Eléyìí tí mo protect àwọn ọmọ tí mo gbé dání tó, èmi náà fẹ́ ṣe president. Mi ò fẹ́ kán pa mí mọ́tàn.
I do not have a doubt in my mind, and I'm sure there's no doubt in your mind as to why our leader has come. Our leader, our people have listened to you very well. I'm sure they've digested everything you've said. Rest assured that we will do the right thing. We shall do the right thing. You have justified and stated clearly why power must come to not just the South, but the Southwest.
Following the APC presidential primary, Ondo Swaga members urged delegates to vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, members of the Southwest Agenda for Asiwaju Swaga 2023 in Ondo State have called on delegates across the country to ensure that the national leader emerge the flag bearer of the Progressive Congress in 2023. Speaking at the meeting in Akure, the Ondo State capital, a leader of the party, Akindele Adeni, said Tinubu is best material in APC. According to him, the national leader is physically and mentally fit to govern Nigeria and provide purposeful leadership.
Presidency, that they should vote for Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu. We are with him, we are for him, we'll be with him, we continue to be with him. You can see now, you see the coordinator of Asiwaju Ahmed Tinubu in Ondo State. He has done the job, he has gone around the whole of the nation, campaign, and in the process, most Nigerians have seen that the man is fit. I'm talking about physically fit. One thing they were trying to use against him was that he's not well. That is not well. But when they now saw him traversing the whole of Nigeria
Have you ever heard anybody talking about Ashwaji not being fit again? He is fit. He's fit physically, he's fit mentally.
Also speaking, the state coordinator of Swagai, Fedaya Abegunde, said Tinubu is not only politically sound, but also in business. As the ruling All Progressive Congress APC prepares for its special convention for presidential primary, the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum and Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has charged the party to work hard to retain power by rotating the presidency to the South. Akeredolu re-echoed the position of his colleagues in the Southern Nigeria's Governors Forum that power should be rotated to the South. A leader of the All Progressive Congress APC in Delta State, Barcel Wesley Tosin, looks confident that the APC and the governorship candidate Ovie Omoagege will clinch power from the ruling PDP in the state. In an interview with our correspondent Friday, Akpemo Jiro noted that Omoagege has a sound character and was elected through the will of the people and not money bags.
You need to see what is happening here. You go to the grassroots. Some of them who are not here today, you know that Omoagege is a name, is a household name for everything he has done. Even the zone he does not represent, he has been able to bring development strides to those zones. And I think the acceptance is very, very high, very, very high. Character, and not just character, very, very impeccable character. We're not talking about maybe a system or a charade that has brought somebody into power or as a flag bearer. You can see what is happening. No money here spreading around. This is the will of the people to bring to vote for somebody who they believe in their hearts that will deliver Delta State from this present charade that we're presently experiencing. Delta State should please watch out. They shouldn't lose faith, because what everybody is saying in the social media now is the way money was being paraded from the other side. But this is what we have here. It is not a bazaar like I call it. It is a process that has been aggregated.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Ogun has reaffirmed that Ladi Adebutu remains its candidate for the 2023 governorship elections in the state. The state PDP chairman, Honorable Sikirula Ogundele, stated this as a news briefing in Abeokuta. Ogundele noted that the primary election that produced Adebutu and other candidates were conducted in line with the electoral law and party guidelines. The PDP chairman therefore urged members of the party and the public to discountenance contrary report. He advised the aspirants who were not satisfied with the conduct and the outcome of the primary elections to seek legal redress.
This primary undoubtedly produced only one candidate for our party, and that is in person of Honorable Dr. Oladepopo Olatunde Adebutu, who emerged from the primary with 714 votes in his favor. On the strength of the above, I dare say that all party primary elections took place at the party's approved locations and venues as communicated to INEC, and same was duly monitored and observed by officers of Independent National Electoral Commission, officers of Nigerian Police, and of course other security agencies. Anybody or group of persons hiding anywhere claiming to have emerged as PDP candidate at any level of the party primaries is merely living in fool's paradise.
As the race to the 2023 general elections gather momentum, Nigerian youth have been urged to get their permanent voters card and vote in young candidates who can push their interests forward. This informed part of the communique reached by the National Youth Coalition at the end of their two-day youth interactive session on the 2023 general elections. Southwest coordinator of the group, Sheyi Ogundere, maintained that the prohibitive cost of nomination forms and the current practice of making old people presidential candidates or political parties is a direct assault on the youth. The group condemned the failure of some political parties to follow the demands of Nigerian youth for generational shift in leadership for the next presidential election.
The Nigerian youth will ignore, avoid, and not vote political parties that field candidates that are above 55 years of age as their presidential candidates. The Nigerian youth shall mobilize for support and vote parties that field only young candidates, especially presidential candidates. That we have decided to say no to old candidates and to support young candidates. Therefore, today we launch our hashtag No to Ancestors President, and we demand young president political movement towards the 2023 election.
We demand from APC and PDP and any other political party to give us
A young, vibrant candidate, less than 50 years. It happened in France, it can happen in Nigeria. So there's nothing stopping us in Nigeria to also field a candidate who is below 50. And in every political rally and political party activities, our youth is their machinery. They use some of our youth to hijack ballot boxes instead of them to encourage them to participate in contesting election.
We know and we have seen that these people keep recycling themselves. And they have never given us any special way forward. We remain in the same situation. The dreams of our forefathers were not like this. They worked very hard when they were very young, when they were in our age. How old was Awolowo at that time? 20-something.
The Okada ban announced by the Lagos State government takes effect from June the 1st and has been generating reactions from Lagosians. Our correspondent Paul George, who monitored the effectiveness of the ban and the level of compliance by motorcyclists, reports.
From Admiralty Way, Lekki to 3rd Mainland Bridge, through Anthony, Maryland, down to Ikeja bus stop. Nowhere in sight are the commercial motorcyclists. There seems to be compliance from them. The ones plying the roads are dispatch riders and private motorcyclists. At Surulere local government, Helen Dike said she is a motorcycle spare parts dealer. She complained that the ban has affected her business.
I deal on Okada parts, pure water and soft drink. So they are my customers. In fact, they are my customers. In fact, all my customers have traveled back to their country because mostly they are my customers. So even the sales of pure water and mineral is too low because they are the Okada riders are our customers we have here.
Some Lagos residents also lament the total ban of commercial motorcycles. They said the ban had taken a toll on them as they appealed to the government to find them an alternative.
Now you can see me sweating. I've been trekking for the past almost 30 minutes because ordinarily where I would have taken Okada from to my house, I had to trek all the way. I know we have Keke Maruas, but you don't see them everywhere. You don't find them everywhere. So in as much as I know the positive sides of banning Okada, I think they should still leave them in the interiors for us, to be very sincere. Not all of us have vehicles that we can actually drive around. So we have to trek from one point to another, which is, I think, inflicting hardship on us. I think they should provide an alternative. When that alternative is set, then they can actually do the total ban.
I think there should be an alternative. Something else should be provided for them to make things easier for them, to make life easier for them, so that they find another means of living.
As the ban takes effect from today, Nigerians are waiting to see whether in the coming days the motorcyclists would gradually find their way back to the roads, just like it happened under the administrations of the former governors of Babajide Raji Fashola and Akinwumi Ambode. Paul George, Plus TV.
The Lagos State Task Force is today set to crush another set of 2,228 impounded commercial motorcycles, popularly called Okada. The chairman of the task force, CSP Shola Jeje Loye, in a statement signed by the Director of Press and Public Affairs, Badiyon Abdurrahim stated that the agency will intensify its effort in ensuring that all impounded motorcycles are crushed after following the due process. Jaja Loye noted that although the compliance rate of Okada operators is high and encouraging, the operators are still not to be trusted. Meanwhile, the trustees of Motorcycles Transport Union of Nigeria has dragged the Lagos State government before the Federal High Court in Lagos, and others are praying for a declaration that the ban on commercial motorcycle is illegal, unlawful, and unconstitutional. In the suit, the applicants are praying that the court for a declaration that the purported purpose ban of commercial motorcycle transportation in Lagos State by the governor without hearing from the operators whose rights are affected or likely to be affected is a violation of constitutional right of the applicants to fair hearing provided for and encapsulated in Section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. Now, as 2023 elections draw near, Nigerians have been speaking on the role of justice system before, during, and after the polls. And that's on our Street Views. Take a listen.
The Electoral Act, once passed, becomes the law. And the duty of the court is to interpret the law the way it is, irrespective of who the interpretation will go against or not. Now, coming to 2023 election, before any election, the judiciary has a duty to put in election petition in place based on the Electoral Act. And when that is in place, the judiciary will be ready to take any case because the election petition will have been in place because it's special courts.
The judiciary really doesn't have any preparation to make with respect to election. The judiciary is supposed to be a continuous process, and the only role of the judiciary is to interpret laws. So whatever laws become current or becomes extant, that is what the judiciary will do. The judiciary doesn't have to have a new preparation. They're supposed to be constant at every time. So the judiciary is good to go with respect to the 2023 elections.
The judiciary this time around should look beyond the technical justice and do substantial justice. Because it's on record that there was a time when a matter was called at the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court, in its wisdom, left number 1 and went for number 4. It would be against common sense to leave the person that scored second highest vote, the third highest vote, to go and pick the 4th highest vote. So it's what we call technical justice. So we're hoping and trusting that the judiciary this time around would look at substantial justice to ensure that politicians don't use the courtroom and the instruments of the law to achieve a selfish gain.
The only thing judiciary ought to do at this stage is to be very, very careful, because the politicians are at their game now. This is the time for frivolous application. This is the time for expert application. They'll come through the back to get any relief to stop the election or to stop the process. So the judiciary should be watchful to shun all expert applications. What the judiciary can do, they can, what they call accelerated hearing. They can accelerate hearing, but let the other party be aware.
And outside Africa, declaring enough, U.S. President Joe Biden has urged Congress to ban assault weapons, expand background checks, and implement all the sensible gun control measures to address a string of mass shootings that have struck the United States. Speaking from the White House in a speech broadcast live in prime time, Biden asked the country stunned by the recent shooting of school children in Texas at the medical building in Oklahoma and Buffalo, New York grocery store, how much it would take.
The gun industry special protections are outrageous. It must end. And let there be no mistake about the psychological trauma that gun violence leaves behind. Imagine being that little girl, that brave little girl in Uvalde, who smeared blood off her murdered friend's body on her own face to lie still among the corpses in her classroom and pretend she was dead in order to stay alive. Imagine what it'd be like for her to walk down the hallway of any school again. Imagine. This time, we have to take the time to do something. And this time, it's time for the Senate to do something. But as we know, in order to get anything done in the Senate, we need a minimum of 10 Republican senators. I support the bipartisan efforts that include a small group of Democrats and Republican senators trying to find a way. But my God, the fact that the majority of the Senate Republicans don't want any of these proposals even to be debated or come up for a vote, I find unconscionable. We can't fail the American people again.
And in business news, the federal government has directed the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to implement a deal on a gas pipeline to Europe through Morocco. Africa's gas resources are increasingly in the spotlight as the European Union looks to wind itself off Russian supply following the invasion of Ukraine in February. Petroleum Minister Timi Parasilva told reporters in Abuja that the approval for a memorandum of understanding on the gas project with West African Regional Bloc ECOWAS was given after the Federal Executive Council meeting. And in entertainment news, talented Nollywood star Lateef Adedimeji has revealed that he has always prayed to appear as a cameo actor in any of the Tunde Kelani's movie, but got himself a lead role in Anyela. According to the 36-year-old actor, working with Kelani has been a long-term desire. Reminiscing on how he got the role and working with Kelani on the set of Anyela, he said it was a very tough and challenging experience. And in sports news, after kicking the African champions, the Tigers, out of the 2022 FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup, the Federation of International Basketball Association has threatened for the sanction against Nigeria. The decision to have Nigeria banned from the World Cup in Sydney, Australia, came after the federal government withdrew from international basketball competition. A week after the withdrawal, the FIBA, in a letter addressed to a fractional Nigerian Basketball Federation President Musa Kida, signed by Jimmy Lamboy, head of the legal FIBA, dated May 18, 2022, warned Nigeria of possible sanctions. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Messi Boko. Many thanks for watching.